If you want to know the best terror build in Yotei, you are in the right place. With more than 120 hours of in-game experience, I went back to the drawing board and optimized my ultimate Onryo build. One of the absolute strongest builds in the game that destroys lethal difficulty with no problems. This build can terror lock enemies with consistent headshots, performing spirit techniques, disarming targets, and even consistent ghost dancing that can wipe out enemy groups in seconds. Enemies will be pissing their pants when they see this build, so if you are looking for the best Onryo setup, this build is for you. To have the strongest Onryo setup, the Onryo Armor is no doubt the best setup for this build. The Armor's first passive gives you a moderate chance to terrify nearby targets after killing an enemy with a spirit attack or a thrown melee weapon. Killing enemies with spirit attacks is so easy to do with this build because of the build's massive damage per second, so you will be applying terror to your targets consistently. Killing enemies with a throwing weapon is another easy way to inflict terror. You will be disarming targets repeatedly with the death dance, allowing you to throw a whopping 3 weapons at a time. But what if I told you that these 2 strategies are just a bonus and not your main strategies to apply terror? Yes indeed, and more on this later. The second passive gives you a major chance of summoning the wolf when enemies are terrified, which is always the case when using this build. This passive is just good from early to mid game, and I see the wolf as just a bonus in all of my setups. And this passive is just a nice to have and not game breaking. Not to mention that you can call the wolf at endgame before raiding camps. But here's the real kicker and the star of the show. This armor will give you a massive damage bonus against terrified targets, and I cannot stress how broken this is. 100% of the time, enemies will be locked in a terror state while using this build, and you will notice that your attack hits differently, showing you the massive damage that the enemy is receiving. Not to mention that all of the gameplay that you are seeing right now was recorded under the lethal difficulty, and you can see how a group of enemies is powerless against the true Onryo. Unlock the highest upgrade of the Onryo Armor by progressing the main story of the spider and the dragon in Oshima Coast, so you can get that sweet massive damage upgrade. If you're getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me more than you can imagine. The Charm of Enduring Resolves gives you a major chance of 1 spirit refund whenever you use your spirit techniques. You'll be using a lot of spirit techniques in this build, so the possible refunds will give you more chances of dishing out spirit attacks. The more spirit attacks, the greater chance of terrorizing your enemies. The easier it is to terror lock targets. Get this charm by unlocking the Twin Path Fox Den in Ishikari Plains. This is one of your main terror-inducing strategies in this build. The Charm of Fearful Mastery gives you a major chance to terrify nearby targets every time you disarm enemies. The Death Dance skill will allow you to disarm 3 targets at a time, so the chances of you terrifying nearby enemies are most of the time near 100%. I've rarely seen that the Charm of Fearful Mastery's effect and the Death Dance combo fail to terrify enemies in all of the tests that I've run, and I see it as a truly broken combination. Get this charm by progressing the main story and getting it as a reward in one of the Onryo's altars. The Charm of the Fearful Strike will give you a major chance of terrifying nearby enemies by just scoring a headshot, and I cannot stress how truly broken this charm is. This is by far the easiest and fastest way to inflict terror on your enemies, since you can just concentrate and score your first headshot, and after that, you can pick your enemies one by one with more headshots without the need to concentrate because they are all terrified. Let me remind you that the gameplay that you are seeing right now is recorded under lethal difficulty, clearly showing how busted this setup is. So make sure that you get this charm, and you can get it in one of the Onryo altar as well as a reward after progressing in the game. The next charm on this list is the Charm of Fearful End, which gives you a major chance to terrify nearby targets after performing any kind of assassination. Now, how are you supposed to pull off an assassination with this build, I hear you asking, my dear viewer? Well, if you are following my builds lately, the smoke bomb allows you to chain assassinate enemies without a hassle. This means that this is another strategy for you to inflict terror on your targets, and by now, you are already seeing that terror locking targets is possible in this game. Another charm that you can get from the Onryo altars, so be on the lookout. Ghost dancing is yet another easy way for you to terrify your enemies while also taking out 3 targets at a time. So it is highly suggested that you have access to this skill when enemies starts to get moving again when the terror expires. And the charm of the Onryo's protection safeguards your kill streaks completely from resetting. Take this charm as your safety net if you already exhausted all of your terror-inducing strategies, like for example the smoke bomb, your arrows, and the like. So when you find the need, you have a higher chance to maintaining ghost stance charges and use it afterwards. Buy this charm from Merchant Taro, located in the Dead Man's Tree in Tokachi range. On the other hand, more spirit gain upgrade for the build, and the charm of the Yamato Takeru gives you a moderate amount of spirit whenever you disarm or kill a target with a thrown melee weapon. And remember, you will be disarming enemies a lot with this build and throwing weapons most of the time, and killing enemies easily because they are terrified. The faster you gain spirit, the more spirit techniques you can perform, so the more chance of you inflicting terror. Get this charm by climbing and paying respect to Patient Frost Shrine in Tessio Ridge. While you do have an option to replace Charm of Yamato Takeru with the Charm of True Aim if you don't want to manually aim for headshots. However, the caveat is that you will be using 3 arrows at a time, which is very costly. I much prefer single arrows, to be honest, since I can micromanage my headshots and inflict terror on targets whenever I want to. Get this charm by clearing the Legend of the Opus no Puri quest, or rather the Legend of the Mountain Piercing Arrow in Huskokotan. The longbow Yumi plays a heavy role in this setup since enemies in the late game wear helmets to protect them from headshots, but the heavy arrows of the Yumi can pierce through helmets like butter. And remember, headshots are your easiest way to inflict terror on targets, so this bow is simply a broken weapon in this specific setup. After the initial concentration shot, you can pull off headshot after headshot since enemies are already terrified, lining on their deaths. The kunai is also a good sub-weapon for this build since you will be throwing 2 kunais at a time, allowing you to gain fast kill streaks while taking out terrified enemies. The Oni's Flame is also suggested for boss fights so you can deal the highest damage possible against a terrified boss. The massive damage bonus of Terror plus the Oni's Flame is simply over the roof, so fights will end faster than you know it. The fourth and final sub-weapon of the ultimate Onryo build is the Smoke Bomb. You can easily pull off chain assassinations because of this tool, giving you the chance to terrify enemies in a pinch, allowing you to lock them in a constant terror loop just in case the terror expires. When it comes to the key skills of the ultimate Onryo, the chain assassination skill tree is suggested so you can take advantage of the smoke bomb. The Onryo strike skill is a must as well, so you can disarm targets and have a major chance of terrifying them in the process. The Onryo strike will later on be upgraded to Death Dance, disarming 3 targets at a time, giving you even more chances of spreading fear to your enemies. Get the Death Dance by clearing the Jin Sakai quest located in the Forgotten Shrine on Oshima Coast. While progressing the main story of the spider and the dragon in Oshima Coast, you will also unlock the Ghost Dance, which is another strategy to terrify your enemies. Concentration is suggested as well, so you can pull off that initial headshot to terrify your targets and pull off consecutive ones after that. Your main goal in this build is to inflict terror on your enemies as fast as possible, and we have so many ways of doing that. The first and best way is the Yumi strategy, where you can just concentrate and pull off your initial headshot, and then continuously score more headshots, since all of your targets are already terrified. This is so broken that you can clear enemy groups without a hassle as long as you have heavy and disarming arrows. You can terror lock your targets by pulling off a Death Dance as well as an opener and disarm 3 enemies. Then take out enemies with a super hard hitting light attacks. And when enemies starts to move again, terrify them by either pulling another Yumi headshots or using the smoke bomb and do the chain assassination. And when the enemy starts to move again, terrify them by either pulling another Yumi headshots or using the smoke bomb. The smoke bomb will allow you to easily perform chain assassinations and inflict terror again. Then start thinning the herd with more light attacks. Enemies will start to move again after a long period of time, and by this time, the Ghost Stance is fully fired up, and casting it will inflict another terror wave and take out 3 targets in the process. When you are up against enemy camp leaders, keep in mind that they can be terrified as well, and when they do, they are open for attacks for a significant period of time, allowing you to deal massive damage by just pulling light attacks. You can see here that my light attacks are simply strong enough to deplete the boss's HP in few swings. Or if you want to even more punish the bosses in this game, use the Oni's Flame before your swings, and your enemies will simply cry out for their lives if you do this. But if you want to know the strongest samurai build in the game that can destroy everything, this video has all the bells and whistles. So click on this video and I will catch you on the next one.